Welcome to the final video of this course where we're gonna see what's new in Angular 5. We're going to see that the main changes in Angular 5 are the build optimizer and compiler improvements. We are also going to go through all of the other smaller changes in Angular 5. And finally, I'll show you where to find the upgrade guide with the instructions on how to upgrade to Angular 5. So here's the official blog post from the Angular team announcing version 5.0. As you can see, the main feature that is announced is a build optimizer, and this build optimizer will make our bundles smaller using semantic understanding of the Angular application. So Angular has a beta tree shaking functionality, which means that it's able to figure out which parts of your code and which of your dependencies are not actually used in your application, and it's going to be more efficient in removing this from your build. As a result, the build size gets smaller, which means that your application runs faster from your user perspective. Another major improvement with Angular 5 is compiler improvements, and this relies mostly on TypeScript transforms. This means that now the Angular compiler can make incremental rebuilds instead of rebuilding everything every time you make a change to your code. So if you have a big applications with hundreds of components, it's going to be much faster to get a quick rebuild on the fly. So in order to get this feature with Angular 5, when you run ngserve, just use the AOT option, and then you have this compiler improvement and TypeScript transform at development time when you write your code. So other features with Angular 5 include improved decorator support. So we get some slight syntax improvements here to make things easier to write. Another improvement is better internalizations of our pipes. So when you use pipes and if your application has to be translated for different countries, now there's options to better support different locales as part of Angular 5. So that's a big change as well, if that's a feature that you require for the future. And two more things we need to know about. There's a new version of Angular CLI for Angular 5, that's CLI 1.5, so you'll have to upgrade your Angular CLI as well. And a feature that makes its comeback from AngularJS is update on blur or submit. So that's a way to control ng model, so that we determine when the data model gets updated. So for instance, here we just specify that the first name input will get updated on blur instead of right away. Or we can also specify that we're going to update the form on submit instead of right away. So now in terms of changing that will require you to change your code, RxJS 5.5 is one of them. So instead of the syntax that we used to have with RxJS operators, now we have to use this pipe syntax here and use all of the operators as independent functions. So if you use a lot of operators, this will require a little bit of work to get there, but basically that's all there is to do. It's just a new syntax. All of the features that you had before would get the same with RxJS 5.5. So in order to upgrade to Angular 5, the Angular team provided us with a guide to do this. So angularupgradeguide.firebaseapp.com, and there's all of the info to upgrade to Angular 5. So that's what the Angular update guide looks like. So if we're using Angular 4, for instance, and we want to upgrade to Angular 5, and let's say our application is advanced, we don't use ng upgrade, but we use npm, then we just click the show me how to update button, and we get a list of instructions of things to do before updating, after updating, and all that. So it's mostly some renaming. For instance, if you had some template tags in Angular 4, it becomes ng template in Angular 5, and various renamings like this, and slight changes that you can do. And if you follow all of these steps, then you'll be able to update your code in just a few minutes. So in this video, we just learned that Angular 5 brings major improvements in terms of build size and speed. Angular 5 now uses RxJS 5.5 that requires some syntax changes. The API hasn't really changed in Angular 5, just some renaming and a few extra features, but for the most part, Angular 5 is very similar to Angular 4. And in order to help you with the migration, there is a migration guide at angularupdateguide.firebaseapp.com. So thank you for your attention during this video course. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any question or need to do any follow-up with Angular, you can reach me on Twitter or on Medium. blog.angulartraining.com, where I publish once a week about Angular. So thanks again for your attention, and see you soon on my blog.